Flying in 2026 feels different because it genuinely is different. New scanning technology, stricter ID enforcement, automated bag sizers at gates, the airport experience has shifted fast. And the travelers getting caught are the ones who packed the same way they did in 2024 and assumed nothing changed. These 7 rules are active right now, enforced right now, and costing people time and money at checkpoints across the US, UK, Canada, and Australia. Stay with us through number 1, because that rule alone has added 30 minutes to security lines at major hubs, and almost nobody going through it knows why. Rule number 7, shoes off is no longer the default. The rule you followed at every airport for 20 years has officially changed. In July 2025, the TSA formally ended the blanket shoe removal requirement at domestic airport checkpoints. After 2 decades of the post-9/11 shuffle, shoes in the bin, socks on the floor, shuffle through the scanner, most airports have now moved on. The shift was driven by the widespread rollout of new advanced imaging technology and CT scanners that can screen footwear on the body without requiring removal. For the majority of travelers at the majority of airports, shoes stay on. But here's the twist. This rule change is catching people in both directions. Travelers who haven't heard the update are still automatically removing shoes in lanes that no longer require it, slowing lines and causing confusion. And travelers who have heard it are keeping shoes on in older lanes that still flag footwear, then getting pulled for secondary screening and wondering what they did wrong. The practical rule for June 2026 is this: follow the lane-specific instructions from the TSA officer in front of you, not what worked at the last airport you flew through. Some checkpoints, particularly at smaller regional airports still running older X-ray equipment, still ask for shoe removal. TSA pre-check lanes have allowed shoes on for years and continue to do so. Standard lanes vary by airport and by equipment. The correct move is to listen to the officer at your specific checkpoint, not to assume either way based on habit. It's a welcome change overall. It's just not a universal one yet, and the inconsistency between airports is what's catching people off guard in 2026. Rule number 6, laptops and tablets. It depends on the airport. Whether you need to pull your laptop out now depends entirely on which scanner you're standing in front of. The TSA has been rolling out computed tomography, CT scanners at major U.S. airports since 2019, and the 2025 to 2026 deployment phase has accelerated significantly. At airports running CT technology, the scanners produce a detailed 3D image of carry-on bag contents, allowing officers to rotate and inspect the image on screen without requiring passengers to remove electronics. Phoenix, Boston. Logan, JFK, LAX, O'Hare, and Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson are among the hubs with CT-equipped lanes already operating. In those CT lanes, you no longer need to remove your laptop, tablet, or gaming device from your bag. The 3D imaging sees through the contents clearly enough that manual separation isn't necessary. This completely changes the checkpoint routine for millions of frequent flyers, but only at those specific lanes, at those specific airports. What most people don't realize is that not every lane at a CT-equipped airport uses the new scanners. Airports are running both systems simultaneously during the transition. You could clear security at Terminal A with your laptop in your bag, and then at Terminal B at the same airport, be asked to remove it. The only reliable signal is what the officer at your lane instructs you to do. TSA officers are required to communicate which procedure applies at their checkpoint. The practical move. Pack your laptop where it's accessible. Don't bury it under 3 layers of clothing just because you've heard the new rule. If you're at a CT lane, great. Leave it in. If the officer asks you to remove it, you need to be able to get to it quickly. Holding up a lane while you unpack costs you time and annoys everyone behind you. Rule number 5. Automated bag sizers at gates. No more discretion. The carry-on that always fit before may not pass the gate scanner today, and the fee is brutal. Carry-on size limits haven't changed for major U.S. carriers in 2026. American, Delta, United, JetBlue, and Alaska all maintain the 22 by 14 by 9 inch standard. Southwest allows slightly larger at 24 by 16 by 10 inches. What has changed dramatically is enforcement. United Airlines deployed automated bag sizer scanners at 35 airports by late 2025, with expansion to 80-plus locations planned through the end of 2026. American and Delta are testing identical systems. These scanners don't negotiate, don't use judgment, and don't wave bags through because they're close enough. If your bag exceeds the limit by even a small margin, it gets flagged for gate checking. And this is where it gets crazy. The gate check fee triggered by a failed sizer scan is significantly higher than simply checking a bag at the counter. Typical 2026 gate check fees range from $60 to $100, depending on the carrier and circumstances. Frontier charges up to $99. Spirit is up to $100. That's the price of a budget flight on some routes, paid for a bag you thought was going to be free. The bags failing automated sizers most frequently are not oversized duffel bags or obvious rule violations. They're standard rolling carry-ons that measure right at the limit, but whose wheels, handles, or exterior pockets push the total dimensions fractionally over the allowed size. A bag that measured 22 inches in the main body but has a 1.5-inch retractable handle extension is technically over the limit. The automated scanner does not care about the distinction. Measure your bag before your next trip. Include wheels, handles, and all external attachments in your measurement. If your bag is right at the limit, that's your warning. Rule number 4. Basic economy carry-on restrictions are expanding. The cheapest fare on 3 major airlines now means 0 overhead bin access, and the enforcement is real. Basic economy fares have always come with restrictions, but 2026 has tightened the carry-on rules at the 3 largest U.S. carriers in ways that a significant portion of travelers are still not accounting for at booking. United Airlines does not allow carry-on bags on domestic basic economy tickets. Passengers on that fare class are limited to a personal item that fits under the seat. Full stop. No overhead bin access. JetBlue's Blue Basic fare is identical. Personal item only. American and Delta include a carry-on on their basic economy domestic fares, but on international routes, American Basic Economy restricts passengers to personal item only. What most people don't realize is that this catches travelers who book basic economy for the price and assume the carry-on is included because it was last time, or because a friend on a different carrier had no issue. The fare class restrictions are carrier-specific and route-specific, and they are enforced at the gate with the same automated consistency that now governs bag sizing. The personal item allowance, the bag that goes under the seat, is approximately 18 by 14 by 8 inches across most carriers. Backpacks, laptop bags, and small duffel bags qualify. A standard rolling carry-on does not fit under a seat and does not qualify as a personal item, regardless of how you describe it to the gate agent. If you book basic economy on United or JetBlue, your rolling carry-on goes in the overhead at a fee or gets checked at the counter before you reach the gate. The fix is straightforward. Check your specific fare class and carrier before you pack, not at the gate when your flight is boarding in 12 minutes. Rule number 5. Correction. Rule number 3. Power bank limits are now carrier specific. It's not just about where your power bank is packed anymore. It's about how many you're carrying and which airline you're on. The FAA rule on spare lithium batteries and power banks is long-standing and unchanged in its core form. All power banks and spare lithium batteries must travel in carry-on baggage only, never in checked luggage. That rule is absolute and is being enforced with 0 exceptions in 2026. But in May 2026, American Airlines added a new layer that most travelers haven't caught yet: a 2 power bank cap per passenger. Carry 3 power banks onto an American Airlines flight and the third one stays behind, not in your checked bag, which isn't allowed, but left at the airport entirely. This is where it gets crazy. The 2-bank cap is an airline-level policy, not a TSA rule, which means TSA won't stop you at the security checkpoint. You'll clear security with 3 power banks in your carry-on, walk to the gate, board the aircraft, and then face a crew member enforcing the airline's policy at the jetway or in the cabin. At that point, there is no good option. You cannot put the extra bank in your checked bag. That violates FAA rules. You cannot mail it home from the gate. You leave it behind, or you resolve it some other way. Beyond the cap, the watt-hour rules remain strictly enforced. Power banks under 100 watt-hours require no approval. Banks between 100 watt-hours and 160 watt-hours require airline pre-approval. Banks over 160 watt-hours are prohibited on passenger aircraft entirely. Most travelers have no idea how many watt-hours their power bank contains. The rating is printed on the device or in the product specifications. If your bank isn't labeled, TSA and airline staff treat it as non-compliant. Check your carrier's current policy before your next flight. As of June 2026, American has the 2-bank cap. Other carriers may follow. Assume nothing carried over from your last trip. Rule number 2. Smart luggage enforcement is now absolute. A $400 suitcase was left at the gate because the battery needed a screwdriver to remove. This is happening at airports right now. Smart luggage, bags with built-in GPS trackers, USB charging ports, digital locks, and integrated power banks, has been subject to FAA restrictions since 2018. The rule is clear. Smart luggage with non-removable batteries is prohibited from all aircraft in both carry-on and checked baggage. What changed in 2026 is not the rule, it's the enforcement. With CT scanners now deployed at major hubs, TSA and gate agents can identify battery cells inside luggage at a resolution that wasn't available with older X-ray technology. Bags that previously passed through undetected, either because agents missed the battery or decided not to enforce, are now being flagged consistently. And the enforcement is happening at 2 points: the security checkpoint and the gate, which means passengers who get through one may still be stopped at the other. A documented case from early 2026 involved a traveler who arrived at the gate with a premium smart suitcase. The bag's lithium battery was integrated into the frame and required a screwdriver to access. Gate agents would not allow the bag onto the aircraft. The battery could not be removed without tools. The bag could not be checked because the battery was non-removable. The traveler boarded without the bag. The suitcase, worth over $400, was left at the airport. What most people don't realize is that hand removable means by hand only, not with a coin, not with a key, not with the included Allen wrench that came in the box. If the battery requires any tool to access, it fails the standard. Test your smart luggage before your next trip. Remove the battery by hand right now and confirm it comes out cleanly. If it doesn't, either replace the bag or permanently remove the battery before you travel. The rule is not new. The enforcement is, and there is no exception being made for expensive bags, premium brands, or apologetic passengers. Rule number 1. Real ID and the $45 TSA Confirm ID fee. Forgetting your real ID now costs you $45, adds 30 minutes to your security wait, and still might not get you through. This is the biggest carry-on and security rule change of 2026, and it's the one causing the most genuine disruption at U.S. airports right now. Beginning February 1st, 2026, TSA began fully enforcing the Real ID Act at domestic checkpoints. A standard driver's license without the gold or black star in the upper right corner is no longer accepted at airport security. The acceptable IDs are a Real ID compliant state driver's license, a U.S. passport, a U.S. military ID, or a DHS Trusted Traveler Card. Approximately 94% of U.S. travelers now carry compliant identification. The remaining 6% are the people currently causing extended lines and missed flights. For travelers who arrive at the checkpoint without acceptable ID, TSA introduced the Confirm ID program, officially launched February 1st, 2026. The process works like this. You pay a $45 non-refundable fee. TSA attempts to verify your identity through alternative biometric and database methods. And if verification succeeds, you receive a 10-day travel clearance window. If a verification fails, you do not pass through security, and the $45 is not refunded. And this is where it gets brutal. TSA explicitly warns that the Confirm ID process adds 30 minutes or more to your security time. If your flight boards in 45 minutes when you reach the checkpoint without a real ID, you are in serious trouble. Travel insurance does not cover missed flights caused by Confirm ID delays. TSA PreCheck does not exempt you from REALID requirements. PreCheck OCAS gives you a faster lane, but you still need compliant identification to use it. The confusion point that's catching the most travelers right now is the gap between looking at your driver's license and knowing whether it's compliant. The Real ID star is a small gold or black star in the upper right corner of the card. If it's there, you're compliant. If it's not, even if your license is current, valid, and recently renewed, it is not accepted at the TSA checkpoint as of February 2026. Some state licenses say not for federal purposes on the front. That is your clearest signal that it will not work at security. The fix for anyone in this situation: visit your state DMV and update to a Real ID compliant license. Alternatively, travel with your U.S. passport, which has always been and remains fully accepted at every checkpoint. If you're flying internationally, you're carrying your passport anyway. For domestic travel, check the upper right corner of your driver's license tonight before you're standing at security with a boarding pass in your hand and a flight that departs in 40 minutes. 7 rules, all active, all enforced right now. The difference between a smooth departure and a $45 fee, a missed flight, or a bag left at the gate is knowing which side of each of these rules you're on before you leave the house. If you've got a trip coming up, share this video with whoever you're flying with, because the person most likely to hit one of these rules is the one who hasn't seen this. Next video, the 10 airports in the US where these rules are being enforced the hardest right now, and the 3 where enforcement is still inconsistent enough that you need to know the difference. Subscribe so you don't miss it, and we'll see you on the next one.